This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A family in northern Manitoba walked nearly 100 kilometers in 35-degree heat to get home last weekend. They did it to protest the cancellation, yet again, of the train to their community, a lifeline they say is cut far too often, putting residents at risk. Karen Pauls has the story.
Hey, what the hell are you doing out here?
That's John Colombe filming his wife and 18-year-old nephew as they trudged nearly 100 kilometers along a rail line in boggy terrain just to get home.
12 miles to go.
On Thursday, Colombe and about 70 other people were waiting here in the Paw, Manitoba for the twice-weekly train to Pucketawagan. But the train was cancelled, something Colombe says happens all too often.
It's been getting worse, maybe twice a month. Once a month.
So they got a ride as far as the highway would go and started walking.
The first 4 miles, it was good. You know, your feet weren't hurting yet.
The first night, they slept outside a railway camp.
I kind of asked myself, excuse my language, what the F am I doing out here?
Thankfully, we didn't run into a bear, but we did see a lot of bear droppings, big piles of it.
By Saturday, they ran out of water.
After a while, we started getting white around our mouth. We were totally dehydrating.
Passing rail workers gave them food and water, and women from their community walked to meet them. About 1,800 people rely on this rail service. Colombe says it's unreliable, and he wants action.
Give us proper rail service, one that's guaranteed to bring us back home, guaranteed to bring our groceries in, our building supplies, our gasoline.
The Pucketawagan rail line and train is owned by the Keewatin Railway Company, but the contract to provide crew is through the Arctic Gateway Group. That company blamed the cancellation on a crew issue.
It's one of these summer staffing issues. We apologize. It's one of these things that are uncontrollable at times, and we're working towards improving.
John Colombe hopes so.
That train, it's our lifeline. It's what keeps us going.
And he doesn't relish another 2-day walk home. Karen Pauls, CBC News, The Paw, Manitoba.
Winnipeg Transit's on-request service is expanding into the northwest. On Request allows riders to request a bus and track it using a mobile app. It currently operates in 3 zones in south and central Winnipeg, where regular transit routes are not established. Today, the city says it's adding a 4th zone in the Maples starting September 1st. Public Works Chair Janice Luke says it's fitting to introduce on-request service in this part of the city.
So when we look at the northwest quadrant of the city that is seeing rapid growth, like the southwest, like the southeast, there is a demand for transit, but it doesn't quite bring forward the demand of constant transit routes. So on request means more people in the city will be able to access transit.
There'll also be a new feeder route linking the Castlebury Meadows and Waterford Green neighborhoods to Garden City Shopping Centre during peak hours. On Request was launched as a pilot project in 2021 to replace the DART service. The city says it plans to make it permanent. A teenage boy is recovering in hospital after he and his mother were violently attacked in their Elmwood East Kildonan neighborhood. The two are Ukrainian newcomers and were assaulted and robbed in what police are calling a random attack. CBC's Mike Arsenault has the details.
Victoria Sokolova is fighting back tears as she describes the brutal attack she and her son suffered earlier this month. Sokolova and her son have been living in Winnipeg for 10 months after fleeing Ukraine. On August 3rd, her son met her at a Nairn Avenue bus stop. On the way home, 2 men approached them on bikes and asked if they had any money.
Those 2 guys, when we started walking home, they just behind us, hit us on the head, behind my ear.
Sokolova and her son were attacked with a bat, knocked unconscious, and robbed. When Sokolova came to, her son was still unresponsive. She says a witness called the police and the 2 were sent to hospital, her son in unstable condition.
My son was laying for 3 days all the time. The doctor, they scanned the head and the jaw.
Надо делать срочно операцию у него.
and they had to make surgery right away.
Sokolova's son was in surgery for 11 hours. She also needed stitches behind her ear and is having trouble eating from jaw pain. This is the area where Sokolova and her son were attacked with a baseball bat. Winnipeg police say the suspects and the victims weren't known to each other and the attack was random. Police have arrested 2 men in their 20s. This attack is on the heels of another incident where a Ukrainian newcomer was stabbed and killed on his way to work, just several blocks from where Sokolova was attacked. President of the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress in Manitoba, Joan Lewandowski, says Sokolova and her son fled war-torn Mariupol to seek refuge in Winnipeg.
The trauma continues. The trauma was when they had to pick up and go. Then she comes here thinking, oh, a safe haven.
Sokolova believes her son will recover from his injuries, but the attack will have a lasting effect on the two.
But for now, my son, he got a trauma, and he's afraid to go out on his own. Even me, I am afraid to walk alone.
Lewandowski says the UCC will provide all the support they can to the Sokolova family while they recover and adjust to their new country. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Moose outfitters in northern Manitoba say they're devastated to learn the province will soon cut the number of non-Canadian hunting licenses in half. But a moose researcher says it's a necessary move. The Provincial Wildlife Branch recently sent a letter to outfitters outlining the change. It cites concerns with the moose population and says it will only be in effect from 2026 to 2029. Outfitters say it will severely impact their livelihoods. A Manitoba moose and wolf populations researcher says moose numbers have been trending downward, so he believes this step is needed.
We just have to remember that we need to do what is best for moose. There isn't enough moose for everybody to harvest, so we need to make hard decisions.
He says reducing hunting opportunities is always controversial, but it's one of the few options the province has to manage moose numbers. CBC has reached out to the province for comment. The chief of Wasagamak First Nation says people in his community are happy to finally be going home. Walter Harper says about 250 people forced out due to a nearby wildfire last month have returned to the First Nation. Another 250 are on the way. A wildfire near the community is now more than 35,000 hectares in size, but Harper says air quality has improved to the point where residents can come back.
Some of them that are coming back, we greeted them at the checkpoint there, and most of them are happy to come back, and they said they don't want to leave.
Evacuees from St. Teresa Point, Mantosippi Cree Nation, and Red Sucker Lake have also been allowed to return, but the Red Cross says people from Marcel Colombe First Nation remain out of the community. Well, hopefully you got outside today because it was another hot day here in Winnipeg and the southern part of the province. And if you haven't, now's a good time to get out. It's a perfect night to enjoy it while you can. Ethan Williams is in now for a look at your forecast. Ethan?
Well, thanks, Brittany, and another gorgeous day across the province with warm temperatures and sunshine. Things not quite as warm as yesterday in the north. We are seeing some smoke inhibiting those high temperatures today. Nonetheless, heat warnings still in place and likely will be for another day as we're going to see another hot one tomorrow. But of course, with air quality statements still in place, that's going to largely depend on the smoke, although I think we are going to start to see that smoke thin out tomorrow. It's been especially thick around Churchill in the Hudson Bay coast today. But then look out, Thursday, Friday, another round of smoke starting to move in to not only the north of the province, but maybe some southern sections too. That's coming in on this low pressure system, which is not only bringing the smoke, but a little bit of active weather for us in the next couple of days here. Overnight tonight, early into the morning hours tomorrow, we could even start to see some showers and maybe some thunderstorms in southwestern sections of the province. It's also going to mean that we're going to see cloud cover for the most part tomorrow, especially in the south. Right along this cold front here in the early afternoon hours, Brandon up toward Dauphin, the Paw, Flin Flon, that's when we start to see kind of the first real round of showers and storms on the cold front. Then that moves through to Winnipeg and the Red River Valley through the afternoon and into the evening hours. hours, especially as I think when we're going to see that into Winnipeg and then all of kind of eastern Manitoba, seeing that rainfall move through the day on Thursday, and especially in the southeast as another area of low pressure starts to develop. Rainfall amounts that you see here are not entirely accurate because it's going to really depend on where those storms show up and just how much rain falls, but I think all of us get a good shot at getting a drink of water tomorrow and into Thursday especially. A little bit of a breeze tonight overnight in the Red River Valley. Then as high pressure moves in for Thursday, that's when things will start to calm down. But for tonight already, again, in the southwest is where we're seeing that chance of showers. Winnipeg, maybe as far east as us, we could see that chance overnight tonight and especially early tomorrow morning. But still dry and warm in the north overnight. Will start warm tomorrow. Already that cloud starting to move into places like Flin Flon and the Paw by 7 a.m. And then that continues moving eastward. But in the sunshine along the Hudson Bay coast, without that smoke, we could see another hot one for sure. Again, already by tomorrow morning, cloud and showers for southwestern sections. That moves into Winnipeg and the Red River Valley by about the noon hour, and then another round of those later into the afternoon as we see a day mostly in cloud cover with a little bit of cooler temperatures. I'll tell you how long this unsettled weather, Brittany, is going to be sticking around coming up.
Thank you, Ethan. For 70 years, Kildonan Park's Rainbow Stage has been bringing families together and offering a place to escape reality for a few hours while taking in the magic of musicals. This season, it's a Disney classic that's enchanting the crowds. Mary Poppins takes children on many magical and memorable adventures, but even grown-ups can learn a lesson or two from the nanny. Everyone's favorite.
I'm feeling super great. I think we're very ready to have a real live audience here. There's so many moments in the show that I know I love and that the rest of the cast, crew, and creative team love.
Incredible dance numbers, there's magic, there's flying, there are some beautiful heartfelt moments.
It's all this homegrown talent right on your doorstep, and it's Broadway quality, so why would you want to miss it?
Something that's really important to me about Mary Poppins is the importance she puts on chosen family. She isn't the kids' mom or dad, but her position in their life to me is equal. And I think that it really just speaks to chosen families that we all have in our life. And Mary Poppins is just such a special show that I think that we have breathed new life into by going back to the source material of P.L. Travers, who was the creator of Mary Poppins. And so that was my inspiration, was looking at her original material and taking from that to inspire this.
There's just like some really funny quirks about Mary that aren't even in the movies, which is pretty cool. Coming to theater is such a special experience, and I hope that people can just kind of escape the real world for a little bit, but also learn some lessons about quality time and relationships, and to stop and smell the flowers or take in the beauty that's all around us.
Are lower prices and cheaper internet bills on the way? Canada's telecommunications regulator is opening up competition in the country's internet market. Smaller providers will soon be able to use rivals' fiber networks. More coming up straight ahead. Canada's telecommunications regulator has ordered large phone companies to give competitors access to their existing fibre internet networks for a fee. The CRTC's ruling is aimed at stimulating competition for internet services. Anis Hadari has the details.
Canadians looking for internet service may have a few more choices soon. That is, if the CRTC has its way. The regulator is forcing the big phone companies with fast fiber optic networks to allow competitors to use them. It means the smaller guys don't have to dig up their own lines.
This is something that we fought for years. I'm pretty confident that TechSavvy will make fiber services available.
The idea that you're going to have competitive ISPs building out their own infrastructure to connect all Canadian homes, that ain't going to happen. It's not desirable. It's not economic.
The goal is more players in the market, but whether that lowers prices depends on how much the CRTC lets the big companies charge for sharing.
But it's really hard to say whether it's going to actually translate into more competition until we see those rates, which now we expect by the end of the year.
In exchange for being forced to share existing fiber with smaller competitors, the big companies don't have to share anything they build from now on for 5 years.
Basically, it's a head start rule that gives the incumbents a head start as if they need any more incentives and favors.
As for what those incumbents think, Bell and Telus didn't get back to CBC News, and the Canadian Telecommunications Association, which represents the big companies, said it didn't have a comment at this time. But the last time the CRTC made a similar move, Bell threatened to cut back on investing in fiber optics. As for when new competitors can start using those networks, the CRTC says it wants to see that by next February. Anis Hadari, CBC News, Calgary.
A lingering and deadly listeria outbreak has claimed another life. Ontario health officials say a third person in the province has died. The outbreak has been linked to contaminated plant-based milk products. The Public Health Agency of Canada has also confirmed that 20 people who consumed Silk brand almond, oat and coconut milks and Great Value brand almond milk became sick. 15 of the cases involved hospitalizations. 13 have been in Ontario, 5 in Quebec, 1 in Nova Scotia, and 1 in Alberta. A Commons committee will investigate how a man now facing terror charges was admitted to Canada and obtained citizenship. Members of the National Security Committee have voted unanimously to launch the probe. The suspects, 62-year-old Ahmed El-Didi and his 26-year-old son Mostafa, were arrested in the Toronto area last month. They made virtual court appearances today, but proceedings were delayed to allow them to get lawyers. They're facing 9 terrorism charges, including conspiracy to commit murder on behalf of ISIS. CBC's Janice McGregor has the latest.
What parliamentarians are most concerned about is something else that appears on the charge sheet, specifically for the father of this pair. It has to do with an assault that occurred outside Canada in June of 2015. I'm quoting from the charge sheet here, at the direction of or in association with Islamic State, the terrorist group. Even though it took place outside of Canada, it is a criminal code offense. There is video that shows a man dismembering a prisoner of the Islamic State with a sword. This video, authorities believe, is video of Mr. El-Didi, the father. When news of this hit the media, politicians became very concerned, particularly because at some point these two individuals immigrated to Canada, and the father has Canadian citizenship. Here is what the committee wants to do as far as who they want to hear from. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, Immigration Minister Mark Miller will also testify. They also want to hear from Ralph Goodale. Now, he was the Public Safety Minister back in 2015. He is now the High Commissioner for Canada to the UK. The two ministers here, when the idea of having a committee probe was first floated by the opposition, they suggested that this would interfere with the work of security agencies, and they accused the opposition of just wanting to score political points. Now, nevertheless, the parliamentary secretary, Jennifer O'Connell, for the Minister of Public Safety, was part of the committee discussions today. She actually introduced a motion to call the ministers to get some answers.
There is a court-ordered publication ban. So in terms of some of the information that's going to be able to be shared will be limited, because obviously we want the police and prosecutors to have a successful outcome of their case. But in terms of the overarching issues around national security and keeping our communities safe, it's a conversation we're always welcome to have.
We need answers, and we don't have answers right now. We have somebody who was reportedly with ISIS, committed atrocities overseas allegedly, and not only were they admitted into the country, they were given citizenship. And now we have information from our allies that the Canadian government knew about this. This is a colossal failure, and we need answers.
And just to explain what he was referring to there is new information now emerging from the police that indeed these two were not on their radar at all until CSIS received a tip from an allied country. They weren't aware of this video. So a lot to ask about how this could have happened. Janice McGregor, CBC News, Ottawa.
Still ahead, Ethan Williams is in next with his look at the 7-day forecast. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News.
Well, you wish you were as photogenic as Mio in the beautiful sunshine here. Thanks to Chloe for sending that photo in. Not a lot of sunshine tomorrow for Mio to be photogenic in, though, because pretty much as we start the day and into the afternoon, all throughout the day, we have a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the Winnipeg area. And for Thursday, that's when we see our temperatures drop a little more substantially. Some lingering showers still possible through the day Thursday, but then high pressure moving in for the weekend means that we'll be warm and sunny, and with a little bit of excess moisture, probably feeling closer to 30 than we get into next week, and our temperatures will get back to seasonal with drier conditions and some sunshine. So the rain much needed, Brittany, but doesn't look like it'll be lasting too long.
Thank you, Ethan. Olympian Skylar Park returned home last night from the Games in Paris. She won a bronze medal in Taekwondo on Thursday. Last night, family and supporters filled the arrivals area at Winnipeg's airport to greet her home. That's tonight's Daily Lift.
As you can see here, I have an incredible community of people supporting me and who are up late to kind of welcome me home at the airport. Since this journey began, he's the one who started it all, and so he's the one who started the dream, and to be able to put that medal around his neck has been something, like I said, I've been dreaming of for a long time, and he's always told me to bring him home an Olympic medal, and so I was able to do that. I think all my favorite people are here right now, and the people who've been instrumental, so I'm grateful these are the first people that I can share it with. I've been inspired by so many people, and a lot of which who are here in this room right now with us, and so to have the honor of inspiring the next generation and to have the platform to do that and the ability to do that is something that I definitely don't take for granted. Now he's shy!
It's pretty cool that she's just here.
I think I'll have some time off, I'm hoping. I mean, you could talk to my dad later. As athletes, we're just always constantly thinking about how to optimize our performance and every decision that we make. And I think with some time off, it'll allow me to kind of clear my brain of that a little bit and just enjoy the moment.
Love that. Congratulations, Skylar, and also congratulations and welcome home to Abby Dent, who brought home that silver in rowing and arrived last night as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.